So, hi, my name is Karen Young. I'm the director at a training center in Canada called Wind Center, and I spend my time teaching and training in narrative practices, and particularly in the use of narrative practices for brief therapy single sessions.
Thank you, Karen. What first drew you to single session therapy, and what continues to inspire your practice today?
Okay, for sure, what drew me was the idea that people should be able to come and access a therapy session when they need it.
Mhm,
We had terrible long waiting lists here in Ontario.
mhm.
Sometimes children and families and adults too were waiting 2 or 3 years
Oh,
to
uh-huh,
see a therapist.
uh-huh.
And that seems so unethical to me.
Mhm,
So I got very excited when I started reading a little bit about walk-in clinics.
mhm.
And then I got to help design and implement one of the first walk-in clinics here in Ontario that opened in 2001. So I was very excited with the idea that people could just show up for a therapy session, that there wouldn't be any kind of complicated referral process, that it would be easy access and quick access to a meaningful therapeutic conversation with someone.
Okay, thank you. How would you describe the heart or the philosophy of single session therapy for people that maybe is his their first encounter to these ideas?
I think the heart, the sort of foundational assumptions, if you will, in single session that I connect most with is the idea that we're assuming that the one session we're having right now might be the only session that we're having.
Mhm,
That, in a sense, the first session is assumed to be the only or the last session.
mhm,
And I think that makes a huge difference to how we work,
mhm,
um, because we need to make sure that that conversation is immediately useful, immediately impactful for the person. So we have to go beyond gathering information. It's not intake, it's not assessment, it's a therapeutic encounter.
mhm, mhm.
Happens immediately. So I think that's principally one of the main differences is that key assumption. And then I think along with that, I'm always thinking about because of that assumption, we need to make the most of this session.
Mhm, mhm,
And I think the other thing that I might like to say is that even though we talk about single session therapy, I actually prefer to think of it as one session at a time therapy.
mhm,
And I've talked about it that way for a really long time,
mhm,
because I think that the number of sessions isn't what we're focused on. I
mhm,
think what we're focused on is making the most of the session, making it impactful, making it meaningful.
mhm,
And then at the end, seeing if the person wishes for another session or not.
mhm.
So I really like the idea that it's just one session at a time, and then we check and we see, does the person want more?
Okay, thank you. What makes this approach particularly meaningful or useful for people seeking support?
I think what I want to talk about that is the connection or marriage that I've made with one session at a time therapy and narrative practices.
Mhm,
Because I think that what narrative practices bring to this one session at a time work is really, really important. And that probably the most important part of it, there's many, but probably one of the most important parts of it to me is that we think and act and speak in ways that are congruent with the idea that the person isn't the problem is the problem.
mm, mhm,
And I think this is a really, really fantastic idea. I think it's really different from the dominant ideas in many cultures that are these days, that are very pathologizing ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I am excited about in this work is the idea that people could come in for a quick access to a conversation, and that conversation is a non-pathologizing conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and that conversation pays attention to the context of people's lives, and that conversation respects their hopes and their preferences and their identities, who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that bringing together narrative practices with quick access or one session at a time brings a particular ethics to the work that I place a lot of importance on.
Okay, thank you. In your experience, what can become possible in just one careful held conversation?
Well, I don't know what exactly can become possible, but I know that a lot can become possible. That's been my experience of
Uh-huh.
working at a walk-in clinic for probably about 18 years.
Mhm.
Um, if we have a conversation where we bring a lot of curiosity and we ask unexpected questions, that people move from where they are to some new place, right? And the new place is like new ways of thinking, new perspectives, new ideas, and then I feel like new possibilities open for people. I think it's endless what the new possibilities are. In fact, I got to participate in a research project some years back, and one of the questions that I liked the best in the research was we asked 465 people who had come to a walk-in session this question: did you have any new realizations or aha moments in
Mhm.
the session today? And just under 80%, so approximately 80% of the people said that they had aha moments in the
Mhm.
session. So I know that that means that there's so many possibilities that happen for people, as a result of these conversations.
So it's a way of trying to accompany people without expecting that we're going to resolve a lot of their problems, and just accompany them to make a move or to understand something, to have a new ideas, and just to move along in life as they have the session. Can you explain more for the people that they think that one session at a time is too little to be significant in the life of people?
I think what happens is that people see themselves in a new way. And I think that one of the most important things that happens in these sessions is that there's some kind of shift or transformation in identity stories.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so then when people start to see themselves differently, suddenly what's in focus for them, or what's visible to them that wasn't visible, is knowledge they have, and skills and know-how they have, and qualities that they've developed over their life, and also what really matters to them, what they care about. And when all of these things are more visible to people, then they can see a path forward of how they might respond to the current difficulty that they're in,
Mhm.
but probably also other possible struggles or challenges down the road. So I think
Mhm.
it opens all of that up for people. So we don't have to think about solving every problem, but we do have to think about stories, and the stories that people have of kind of who they are and what they have with them,
Mhm.
and making some kind of movement or transformation in those stories.
Okay, thank you. What are your most hoping participants will take with them from the workshop? Or how do you describe your workshop?
Yeah, I like your question of what I hope they might take.
Mm.
Um, I think I hope they might, first of all, take with them some kind of renewed, Michael White liked the word reinvigorated. Yeah, like a reinvigorated curiosity. I think that would be a really important thing that I would love for people to take with them is curiosity, that they can make changes in their work so that they're asking different kinds of questions, so that their curiosity is opening up space for unexpected questions, novel questions. So I think the curiosity and then the questions, shifting from a way of working that might be dominated by statements, instead toward a way of working that's more influenced by questions. I think a shift like that is something that I would be excited. And I would be excited for people to learn about how they might speak in ways that reflect a really solid belief that the problem is the problem, the person isn't the problem. I would be excited for people to take that with them too.
To whom is addressed this workshop?
I think any therapist who's interested in making the most of each session. I think therapists in many different contexts could benefit from this workshop. It doesn't only need to be if you're working in a really brief context.
Okay. Thank you very much, Karen.